Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I am Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada. Multiple charges have been laid against three suspects after Markham business allegedly discovered fraudulent invoices last year worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. In a release on Tuesday, York Police said between January 9, 2025 and September 12, 2025, suspect worked at a Markham business as a senior manager. After the suspect was terminated from the company, police said the business found fraudulent invoices for services which had not been rendered. Police said those invoices totaled more than $360,000. Investigators determined that the invoices had been paid to companies connected to two additional suspects. Jennifer Hussain, 36, of Toronto, has been charged with 2 counts each of fraud over $5,000, possession of property obtained by crime over $5,000, and laundering proceeds of crime. Police believe she may be responsible for additional fraud-related incidents that have not yet been reported and are asking anyone who may have employed Hossain to come forward. Also facing multiple fraud-related charges are 42-year-old Fosol Ahmed and 64-year-old Florida actor, both of Toronto. Anyone with information is asked to call York Police at 1-866-876-5423, extension 7541, or Crime Stoppers anonymously. Durham Regional Police are looking to reassure concerned Oshawa, Ontario residents after a convicted murderer was released into the community on a 3-day pass as part of his parole process. In a news release Monday, Durham Police notified the public that 65-year-old Darren Scott Ray was being released into Oshawa on a 72-hour unescorted temporary absence permit. Ray was convicted back in 1987 the rape and murder of 14-year-old Darren Pepin. The then 26-year-old received an automatic sentence of life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. The Toronto Star reported at the time that court heard Ray tortured and raped Pepin before killing him and throwing the Scarborough High School student's body away in garbage room of his high-rise building. However, Gluckstein acknowledged that people are concerned and said police share those concerns as well. We have officers in place that will ensure that this person or persons under the dangerous offender title and are released back into the community are being checked and monitored for their conditions, and those are very stringent conditions, Constable Nicholas Gluckstein told Awaz News Tuesday. Now, nearly 40 years after his conviction, Ray is being granted temporary unescorted absences from prison as part of his parole process. Gluckstein said the decision to grant the temporary passes is made by the parole board under the direction of the Correctional Service of Canada. At the end of the 72 hours, Ray will be required to immediately report to the correctional facility. The parole board will then assess whether he is eligible for further temporary releases going forward. Gluckstein said although Ray is an unescorted pass, police will be monitoring him constantly. Some of the conditions of his pass includes remaining within Durham region, not consuming alcohol, and not being in the presence of anyone under the age of 18 unless accompanied by a responsible adult who is aware of his criminal history and has been previously approved in writing by the parole supervisor. Still, Gluckstein said if any members of the community see Ray engaging in any sort of suspicious activity or violation of his parole, they should call 911 immediately to report it. Members of the community who spoke to Awaz News Tuesday expressed concern that Ray is being allowed out on an unescorted pass and questioned why he is not being accompanied. Toronto police say that the shooting of a synagogue in North York late Monday night is alarming and is being treated with the highest priority. Officers were called to the Temple Emmanuel, which is just south Bayview Avenue and Highway 41 at around 10:50 p.m. for reports of gunshots being fired. No injuries were reported, but when police arrived at the scene, they said they located multiple shell casings near the front of the synagogue, as well as damage to the building itself. Police say there were reports of a vehicle leaving the area shortly after shots were fired, though no description has been released at this point. We're approaching this with the full resources and seriousness of it demands, Deputy Chief Robert Johnson said during a press conference on Tuesday afternoon. Let me be very clear. A shooting targeting a place of worship is totally unacceptable. It is alarming. It is something we treat with the highest priority. Johnson said the investigators are actively reviewing video footage from the area and canvassing the neighborhood for additional information. He said that the investigation is active and ongoing and is being led by the Toronto Police Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force in close collaboration with the Hate Crime Unit. Johnson said there have been 22 anti-Semitic occurrences reported to Toronto Police so far this year, accounting for 63% of all hate crimes reported. He said that those numbers represent real people and real harm. Speaking to reporters at the scene, Rabbi Deborah Landsberg said members of the synagogue were gathered Monday night to mark the Jewish holiday Purim hours prior to the shooting. Some members of the synagogue were still inside where the shots were fired, she said. Landsberg said she is a bit shaken up by the shooting and in a way feels like the incident has rocked the synagogue's long-standing place in the neighborhood. Landsberg said Temple Emmanuel has been never targeted like it was Monday night, noting that Keheltel Shari Torah, another synagogue nearby, has been vandalized multiple times. Tens of thousands of students who were threatened with suspension over their vaccination status will be able to remain in the classroom for the rest of the year in order to give families more time to report records and get children up to date, public health officials in Toronto say. In a news release on Tuesday, Toronto Public Health said it reviewed vaccine records for students in grade 2 to 5 in Toronto's public schools and sent a letter home with notice of a suspension order between November and February if they were found out of date. TPH says it won't suspend any more students on the Immunization of the School Pupils Act for the rest of the year as a way to give parents time to update their child's records. This means parents are required to provide their children's immunization records in the health unit or seek a formal exemption for medical reasons or on grounds of conscience or religious beliefs. All non-medical exemptions require parents and guardians to complete a mandatory education system. Under the province's immunization schedule, students on vaccines for measles, mumps, diphtheria, rubella, tetanus, polio, pertussis, and meningococcal disease. For students born in 2010 or later, Ontario requires them also be immunized for varicella coagula, known as chickenpox. The health unit did not say how many students within Toronto's school districts were suspended over the immunization record in 25-26 school year. PPH confirmed to Awaz News then that there was no point where a total 5,397 students were suspended after they were found in contravention with IPSA. The health unit said schools under the direction from local health units have the authority to suspend students if they do not have updated immunization records. Former Toronto Mayor John Tory will not seek the city's top job in the fall municipal election, sources have told Awaz News. Tory is expected to make the announcement this afternoon. The 71-year-old resigned as mayor in February 2023, months after winning a third term after admitting to having an affair with a staffer. Tory have been considered a possible contender for mayor, with one poll suggesting that he and Mayor Oliver Chow would be in a tight race in the election if they both run. Chow has not announced if she will seek re-election. Constable Brad Bradford has previously declared that he will run again for mayor after his failed bid in the 2023 mayoral by-election. Downtown Toronto's Queen's Park North will likely get a hefty boost from the Western Foundation to help with its revitalization. A report from the General Manager of Parks and Recreation and the Executive Director of Corporate Real Estate Management encourages City Council to authorize a $50 million donation from the Charitable Foundation as well as any future donations. that will go forward advancing capital improvements as part of the revitalization of the park, including funding for public engagement, design services, and capital costs for park enhancements. It also recommends that responsibility for maintaining the park be split under a tripartite agreement among the Weston Foundation, the University of Toronto, and City of approximately 20 years. UFT owns the land which it leases to City of Toronto under a 999-year agreement. Initial community engagement on the plan garnered feedback from approximately 2,900 people, many of whom wanted to see emphasis placed on trees and ecosystems, community and cultural heritage, improved maintenance, and the opportunity to improve the visitor experience, the report states. It added that the Weston Foundation will commit to paying for an additional estimated $43 million, around $2.15 million annually over an initial term of 20 years to the University of Toronto for maintenance, operations, and programming. Between March and April, the report's vision will be shared for further feedback from the public institutions in the surrounding area, First Nations, and other project participants. Queen's Park, located just north of the Ontario Legislature, is Canada's first municipal park. It opened in 1860 and is named after Queen Victoria.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.